We thank you so much for joining us. Just like you are all dealing with a very unique situation, we too at Zencity are working around the clock to help our cities all across the world. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any specific needs that you have, requests, or questions especially. The purpose of this webinar is to go over some quick tools that a lot of our cities are now using to help them manage the ongoing emergency situation. And so we also encourage anyone, if they have any specific practices, to share with your colleagues here on the call. And of course, anything you need, please reach out to your customer success manager. For those who don't know, my name is David Denker, part of Zencity's customer success team. And thank you all for joining. So we're going to share our screen right now just with a brief presentation. So first, I want to run through some key questions and concerns that we're seeing across our cities. This is data that we've noticed from almost all of our cities across North America. Some key questions that are coming up in social media discourse. Firstly, what is the city doing to encourage social distancing efforts? Are they encouraging that? Are they enacting rules to limit gathering? What are they doing? People are asking about testing services in their area, if they can get tested for COVID-19. People are also beginning to discuss in the past few days volunteer efforts and different types of community organizing to help the needy, especially with food and supplies. And also people are beginning to ask about the status of regular city services, including payments that need to be made, different types of documents that are often submitted to City Hall, etc., and are looking to get information about that. And especially cities are interested in learning about what residents are expecting from the city during this time, and to clarify what different things mean, like states of emergency, etc. It's important, as you all know, that cities monitor and understand what residents are talking about. And as now more and more citizens are now in their homes and not able to use normal means of communication with the city, coming to City Hall and coming to town hall meetings, we see that the digital realm is becoming more and more important. And cities are using it to make sure that their communication efforts, their emergency communications, are the most effective and the most impactful. They're also using Zencity to help monitor and combat misinformation and rumors that are spreading without the city. We've seen that in terms of the supplies of food and other matters happening in the city. And more importantly, we're seeing cities now begin to organize their communities around different types of response efforts within their communities. I want to share, in Zencity, we've been working hard to help communities along these lines, and we'll introduce some new tools that we just released this week. But also importantly, I want to share a few reports that we've released in the past few days. Just this morning, we released a report analyzing over 90,000 different types of social media posts by some of our community cities across North America, and drew out some best practices for effective messaging during coronavirus. It's a really, really great report that we just released, and I encourage you all to look at it. It's posted on our website, and the link is here, and I'll share the link in the chat in a second. It's really, really great tool for a lot of our communications officials in the cities. Prior to that, a few days ago, we also did an analysis of the top key concerns that residents have been expressing over the past few weeks. We plan to update this every couple of days, every week or so, as the situation progresses and resident concerns changes. For example, we saw a lot of talk in the past week about school closures, and we expect, obviously, the discourse to change over time. But it's a really interesting way for you to take a look at what is going on a nationwide level. Okay. So we're very excited also to have launched some important new tools that our cities are beginning to use. The first of which you should have began receiving earlier this week, and please let us know if you did not, is our COVID-19 digest. This is a customized digest to your email inbox that you'll receive daily, with highlights of the top discourse around the coronavirus issue, and linking you into the dashboard when you want to explore a bit deeper into different projects. This is a really an important tool to get a sense of what's going on in the community with a quick snapshot on a daily basis. In addition, we just released today a new situation room dashboard. Some of our cities have opened up their emergency operations centers and want to display Zencity to a wide range of people in their operations center. And we've relaunched this new tool, very simple to set up, which is meant to be put on a screen in your operations center to help track ongoing discourse within the city as you're manning and deploying your operations centers for those cities that are doing that. What's great about this is this dashboard updates every 15 minutes automatically. And I'll also link to the help site about how to set it up in your community centers if that's something that, that you'd like to do, or you could always reach out to your customer success manager for more information. So those are some of the new tools. And today I just want to go over briefly some of the best practices that we're seeing cities use who are using Zencity during this time of crisis. And we see them doing a number of things. The first is importantly to get the big picture, to keep track of discourse all in one place, and using the different tools within Zencity to drill down into specific areas of focus, all within the realm of responding to the emergency situation. We see cities using also the tools for performance management, filtering to see the effect of official discourse versus unofficial discourse. We see them also managing information, using the data, using Zencity to quickly scroll through information to identify the spread of rumors or misinformation across the city and to identify the sources. And also using the tool to communicate with other officials within the city with Zencity event markers. And finally, we see users using the tool to create briefers and updates, briefing documents and updates for other city officials and for city council. And now we're just going to go through briefly how that works for some of you who are joining us today. So in every city right now, and we want to first of all thank the city of Vacaville, California for allowing us to use their dashboard in this workshop today. And first, every city now has a coronavirus project. And we encourage you to click into the project in your projects page. And first, to get it, you can get from your projects page a snapshot of what the discourse is surrounding coronavirus. So you can see here, run through all the different data items. You can also see the trending topics within coronavirus. So public safety, municipal finance, municipal services. You can quickly jump to any of the issues that are most pressing. Importantly, also, as you use this through time, you can also always filter and see the trends over time. We can expand the dates. We can begin with looking at just yesterday if we're looking at an update from the past day, or we could see the change in trending discourse over time. For example, we see a lot of places where schools was dominant a few days ago, and now the language is shifting. You can use, the second we talked about is performance management. You can use the official and unofficial filters in order to see the effectiveness and the reach of different city messaging. So if you click on the filter button here for official sources, you can then look and see which official sources are drawing the most interactions, which messages are resonating with residents. So we can see here, for example, in Vacaville, we see a lot of interaction with the police department, also with the city government itself, their Facebook page and their Twitter handle. And you can scroll through different types of interactions, different types of data items within the project to see which messages are resonating most with residents. So we see here, for example, messages with pictures being very effective and messages with information, obviously. You can use the same filter to then see if for two is also filtering for unofficial, to see if the city's messages and communication are resonating with the public. And also importantly, to see if there is any rumors or misinformation spreading. So the same way here, we can filter for unofficial. We can also filter by data sources here, looking at specific outlets and for the news, or for example, city community groups. And we can look through the different data items to see if there's any misinformation or rumor spreading. And I recommend looking at things, clicking on the data items as so, looking at the different comments, running quickly through the comments to see if there's things that you may want to address as a city. Okay. So in addition to filtering with unofficial sources, you can also filter with topics in the coronavirus project. For example, we want to see what people are talking about, local businesses. You can click on local economy and see what's going on, see what's being discussed. About business owners, what people are saying, and here for pretty much every other issue. This data here is also, you can share it at any time. You can download any of the widgets or export the entire project as a whole here. And you can see when you click on the export button, you can download the PDF, which will look something like this, coronavirus project, with some announcements, and we'll show how to do this little event marker in just 1 second. So let's say there's a major event you want to communicate to the city manager or the city council about what's driving the number of discourse. We have the event markers feature, which you can see here. It's a little flag. So for example, we want to flag that on March 17th, there was a major event happened. They announced the closure of the theater, for example, and that drew a lot of discourse. Let's say we want to flag that for the city management. And so to do that, we go into here, we click this little 3 dots here, go to events management. We can type in the date and say, and add theater closure, add event. Very simple. And then when we go back to the project, we'll see that little flag marker pop up here. And when you export this widget, this little flag will pop up. So that's a quick way to communicate major events that are the drivers of discourse. Important to note also that when you want to comment or respond to a message on a post, you can easily jump to the source of that post also with the same 3-dot widget, 3-dot button here, and click on open in source to take you out of Zencity and into in this case, Facebook, so you can respond when needed. Okay, great. Now I want to highlight the briefer feature, which some of our callers and I know are already using. And the briefer feature is a way to quickly create a briefing document, a curated briefing document, also to share with your colleagues at City Hall of major social media discourse and media discourse happening over the past few days to update your colleagues. We know that some of our communities are using the briefer to update their public health departments or to update their public safety departments on major issues that are coming out of their communities. And to make a briefer document, it's quite simple. Within the coronavirus project, you can click on this blue button called Brief Mode. And this brings you into this page where you can scroll through and check out each individual data item for the given time frame. So let's say we want to look only at yesterday's news when we're doing a daily update. We can customize the title. So let's say we want to do COVID-19 for March 17th. And we can go through and check which data items we want to share with our colleagues, which news and social media posts. So let's say, for example, we want this article from the Reporter. We don't really need anything else with the news. We can skip ahead to Twitter sources. So we would like to do this Twitter page, this one, etc. This one got some attention, etc. Moving on to Facebook. You get the idea. And you can also include analysis from Zencity. So for example, we want to share this widget with the event marker. Include that as well, showing what the effect of that closure announcement on a discourse, perhaps even the word cloud. And then when you're done, you go to summary. And in the summary page, you have a final chance to review the brief document. You can annotate each item. So let's say we want, this is very important. You can annotate them, you can delete items, and importantly, you can also add sections and bring in data items from outside the Zencity platform. So let's, for example, you want to share Zencity's recent report on best practices for social media. So let's say we want to bring in important reports. We made a new section. We'll add a new data item. So let's go to our report that we released from our website. We copy the link. And we can link it in like any social media page, and it'll bring in that report as well. And then when we're done, we hit export. Export media brief, and you can share this media brief directly as an email to your colleagues in the city. They don't have to have Zencity users, or you can export it directly as a PDF and it'll export. And it will export to something like this, media brief for Corona with all the data items that you need. That's a very, very brief overview of the briefer feature. Any questions now, and please also don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions moving forward if you have any issues. I'm going to take the next few minutes just to go over some brief items, and I'm going to share the link in the chat feature here in just a second. I'm going to figure out how to get there. And from some important findings from our recent study that we just published this morning of the best practices for effective messaging during the coronavirus crisis. that I think are important for some of the participants here today. Oh, something came in. One chat. We got a message from Sue Jones. Can you let us know where the link to the dashboard is? We will be standing up our Emergency Operations Center today. Yes, of course. I'm going to send a link in this chat right here about how to set up your dashboard. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Great. So I'll just go through a few brief things that are interesting. And office, this is available online already. You can check it out. The first takeaway is brevity and length. We found that there's being too short is not great, and being too long is also not great. That the kind of sweet spot for messaging from city accounts for communicating messages today is really kind of between 30 and 60 words, that those get the most traction. That's our first big takeaway. The second takeaway is that images are good, and the right images is great. So we saw some examples from Pasadena talking about rumors about water. And we also saw some people sharing infographics and the like, even if it's from another source, like in this case, the CDC, that those are very effective in spreading messages to the community. We've seen really the effectiveness of clear and decisive phrasing, that cities that have been much more clear and cut, saying, you know, please don't, you know, residents should not go to the park. Those kind of messages are much more effective in reaching residents. We saw that as well, very specific instructions as opposed to general updates from the CDC or from the County Health Commission. Those have gotten much more traction. You can see that with SIGIN. And we also have seen a lot of effectiveness when the cities have reached out to their local news sources to amplify their message, that the city is both putting messages through its own sources, but also communicating them through local news, that they're the most effective in reaching their audiences. So those are some of the information that we want to share from the study that we do. And we encourage you to look at to read over the brief, just a quick read through it, some interesting information. Oh, and one more takeaway, that getting online in the right way is definitely important, and being communicative from the beginning and when things really start to work as fast as possible is very important, to kind of get ahead of the messages before rumors spread. So great. So that brings to conclusion kind of our brief overview of some of the key features that our cities are using now when addressing their emergency response during this current situation. I've just shared with you the links to the reports that we've made, and also to our help site about how to put up the control center dashboard. It's fairly simple, but of course, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us with anything that you need. We're really working really hard to make sure we're responsive to our cities who are at the front lines of this crisis right now. And we're also looking at rapidly producing some really exciting new features to help you as well, to help you save time and communicate effectively with your residents. I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes. This concludes the workshop for now, and I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes if there are any specific questions or issues. Oh, Jessica from Spokane is saying using the briefer function daily to update their health district and city leadership. So thanks for sharing that, Jessica. Oh, and a question from Sandy. Where is the briefer button located again? So yes, the briefer button, I'll bring up the screen again. So when you're in the project page, like in the coronavirus project, so we've gone to the projects page, we've clicked on coronavirus, and the top right of the page is brief mode. That's how you get to the briefer mode. You're very welcome, Sandy. Thank you all. So again, thank you all for participating. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email, via the chat bubble in the dashboard, by phone if you need anything, any requests, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all for joining. Have a great day and take care.